G'day everyone, Dean here. Got a review today on the Atoll by Silence Corner. Bit of an unusual name, definitely a very unique product. This is it here, so it's a rotating bracket, also known now as a camera positioning bracket. Pretty amazing. What do they do? Well, it allows you to change from a horizontal viewpoint to a vertical viewpoint basically in a second. So as quick as that. It's unbelievable. I've been using L brackets for years and years, and they allow you to change position. I'll just show you, I've got an L bracket on here, to change position without having to change your tripod head at all. So as I say, L brackets have been fantastic, but this is sort of like, if you can imagine, it's one step up from an L bracket. I'll go through the advantages of having this over an L bracket. Okay, well, let's get started. So Silence Corner, it's a Taiwanese company. Fella that designed this was a mechanical engineer who had a passion for photography, and it's won some design awards. So obviously it's a pretty neat bit of gear. Okay, so let's talk about some reasons why you would want one of these. So if we go to this camera here, traditionally, if you're shooting on a ball head and you just got a quick release plate, no L bracket, then to go from a horizontal viewpoint to a vertical viewpoint, you've got to drop it down into the notch, which means you drop it down here and then it just gets really fiddly. I remember when I first started photography and I had one of these setups. To be honest, I hardly ever shot vertical because it was so annoying. You had to do that. And then quite often what happens is you can't get it level, you can't get it down enough, so you've got to drop one leg. Okay, yeah, I can see you've all done that before. We've all been there, done that. So you've got to drop a leg to get it level. It's just fiddly. Also, you know, you may have composed a landscape version here, and you know, then once you drop over here, it's a different viewpoint. So you're going from, you know, from this plane across to another plane, the camera's lower, everything changes. So we went from that to an L bracket. Now I'll just show you what an L bracket is. It's this bracket on here. It's basically a quick release plate that comes up into the shape of an L. And what that does, as I showed you before, is it allows you to shoot in the vertical position quickly just by taking your camera off and repositioning it. So L brackets are fantastic. Some of the downsides to these is that you have to buy one, well, you're best to buy one specifically made for your camera model. So that'll be custom made to fit the base properly and to fit the side of the camera properly where you can have access to your ports. So then of course, once you upgrade your cameras, you know, this L bracket for an X-T2 doesn't fit an X-T3 or an X-T4 or an X-T5. So you can get my drift. You're buying an L bracket for every single camera. The advantage with the Atoll is that you buy one. This particular one, the Atoll X, suits Fujifilm, medium format, Hasselblads, any DSLR, so larger cameras. For all of the other cameras, there's only 3 other models. So if you're staying within the same range, so if you're upgrading a Sony or you're upgrading an Olympus or a Fuji, then chances are the Atoll is still going to fit your next model, so you don't have that hassle of having to buy multiple L brackets. Now the other downside to L brackets is cabling. So when we have cables, quite often they go in here, and so that becomes fiddly to get access to your cable. And then you can see with this one, when I go to the vertical format, then you know we've got an issue in here where I've just got to be careful that it sits properly and that the cable doesn't get jammed in the tripod head. So of course with the Atoll, it doesn't mount on the side of the camera. All your ports are left completely free. The underneath or both sides, if your battery underneath doesn't get covered by the Atoll at all, so big advantage over the L bracket. If you're an Olympus shooter, you probably know that the OMDs, there really aren't, there's a couple of custom L brackets that fit, but they were really super expensive, hard to get hold of, especially here in Australia. So the Atoll is fantastic if you're shooting Olympus. Now the other big advantage with this over an L bracket is flippy screen. So I don't have a flippy screen, but a flippy screen is one that flips out this way. A lot of cameras do now. And of course, when that happens on your L bracket, then quite often it gets in the way and you can't sort of set your screen properly. So this eliminates that because it's nothing to do with, you know, the back of the camera or the side of the camera. So again, the Atoll is fantastic for that reason. Another advantage for the Atoll is on a larger camera like this with fairly big heavy lenses, then it distributes the weight a little bit more because it's not pivoting off the back of the camera, it's throwing the center of gravity forward a little bit more and just helps balance that out. Now all of the Atolls use Arca Swiss, so it's just a standard generic Arca Swiss plate, so it will fit any tripod that runs Arca Swiss. They've recently upgraded their models and they've gone to a square shape here instead of a longer plate on the earlier ones. And what that allows you to do is on your tripod head, it allows you to mount it either way, and a lot of times this can help by getting the camera away from this bracket here. If you've got a knob style one, you know, as it rotates around, then it just allows you that option of being able to place it in the two different orientations. So you're probably wondering how on earth do these things work? Well, it's got an inner and outer collar on here, and the inner collar, the one closest to the camera body, actually mounts to the camera body underneath here on where the quick release plate goes. So it just screws into your bottom quarter thread. And then the outer ring of the Atoll then has the new mount that goes into your tripod. So the two halves just rotate within themselves. So it's quite ingenious. Now I'll just show you again that we've got a locking lever under here. So once we unlock that, it has some stops on it. So it'll stop at 90 degrees and then you can lock it. And then there's three stops, another one here and another one, as you can see, I can't rotate my camera all the way around because of this tripod setup that I have here. But I don't need to, it gets me into every position that I need. So you've got little stop locks just to help you find that position, then you can lock it off. Now if you shoot macro, these are really, really good because a lot of times you want to mount your camera on the center column upside down and get it down low to the ground. So when you do that, then the camera is essentially upside down like this. So you're looking at everything backwards, upside down, and it's quite sort of confusing and a bit annoying to find where all your buttons and dials are. But of course with the Atoll, we can have it like, it could be in an upside down position like that, and then we can simply rotate it back around so as the camera is upright. So it's absolutely brilliant. Great for macro. So currently the Atoll is available in 4 different models. So there's one for Sony cameras, there's one that covers most of your mirrorless, there's one that covers your DSLRs, and then there's this larger one that I have that covers larger DSLRs and also your Fujifilm medium format and your Hasselblad medium format. So the basic difference in them is the size of the opening here to allow for lenses and the way that it mounts onto the base of the camera. Now if you're after one, just have a look at the charts. There's charts that show you which model will suit your camera and whether you need an extension plate to go with it or a heightening plate, as some cameras will need that. There you go folks, that's the Atoll by Silence Corner. Fantastic, probably one of the best things I've bought since I bought an L bracket, to be honest. So absolutely love mine. If you're after one, as I say, check those charts, make sure you get the right one for your camera. If you've got any queries at all, just hit me up with a message below. Thanks guys, I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.